Atlanta police named Lil Baby in a warrant that involved the death of 2 kids just hours after they made this statement. Cowardly acts of an Atlanta-based rapper that decided to go over into a rival gang stronghold and shoot a music video in a place that he knew he should not have been. Fans were surprised how shooting a music video could lead to someone losing their freedom. But what's missing in the bigger picture is that the cops already had bigger plans for Lil Baby. Let's find out what that plan is. The allegations and recent controversy. In February 2025, the Atlanta Police Department held a press conference that sent shockwaves through the hip-hop community. During this conference, police officials made serious allegations about an unnamed Atlanta-based rapper, whose actions they claimed had contributed to gang violence resulting in the deaths of 2 13-year-old boys. Though they initially declined to name the artist directly, their statements were both pointed and provocative. Major Ralph Woolfolk of the Atlanta Police Department stated, "Freeman was allowed to be a 13-year-old for 27 minutes before gang violence ultimately took his life. Gang violence was orchestrated by adults in our city, and cowardly acts of an Atlanta-based rapper that decided to go over into a rival gang stronghold and shoot a music video in a place that he knew he should not have been." And in the subsequent days, we saw homicides and shootings and ultimately the deaths of 2 children as a result of his cowardly actions, and you know who you are. And I tell you that this team will work relentlessly to hold you and the persons that you are affiliated with responsible for those actions. Those were incredibly strong words from law enforcement, essentially claiming that a rapper's decision to film a music video in a rival gang's territory had sparked a chain of violence that ultimately led to the tragic deaths of children. But who exactly were they talking about? At the time of the press conference, officials refused to name the artist directly, saying they didn't want to compromise their ongoing investigation. However, the mystery didn't last long. Within hours, local news station Channel 2 Action News obtained arrest warrants confirming that the Atlanta-based rapper in question was none other than Dominique Jones, better known to the world as Lil Baby. This revelation sent the internet into a frenzy, with fans and critics alike trying to make sense of how one of rap's biggest stars could be connected to such a devastating tragedy. So what exactly is Lil Baby being accused of? According to the information that's come to light, this all stems from a music video shoot that took place in May 2024. Based on police allegations, Lil Baby and his team chose to film a music video in an area of Atlanta that was controlled by a rival gang to his affiliated 4PF, 4 Pockets Full crew. The rival gang, identified as OMF, Only My Family, allegedly viewed this as a serious provocation. During the May 2024 video shoot, violence did erupt, with 3 men aged 23, 24, and 27 being shot, though all survived their injuries. Lil Baby himself was unharmed in this incident, but according to police, this shooting was just the beginning of an escalating gang war between 4PF and OMF. On July 2nd, 2024, tragedy struck when 2 13-year-old boys, Layman Freeman and Jacody Davis, were killed in a shooting at Sparks Apartments on Sparks Street, SW in Atlanta. An 11-year-old, Dontavius Davis, was also injured but survived with a foot wound. This horrific incident is what authorities are now connecting back to the gang conflict allegedly inflamed by Lil Baby's video shoot months earlier. The details of this shooting are truly heartbreaking. According to police, one of the victims, Layman Freeman, had just turned 13 years old a mere 27 minutes before he was killed. It was, quite literally, his birthday. Officials described how multiple shooters arrived in 2 vehicles, a white Nissan Maxima and a gray Nissan sedan, and opened fire, using heavy weaponry that left shell casings from multiple calibers at the scene. But here's where things get even more complex. The police aren't claiming that Lil Baby personally committed these shootings or even ordered them. Rather, they're suggesting that his decision to film a music video in rival territory created a chain reaction of gang violence that ultimately led to these deaths. It's a claim that essentially holds him responsible for escalating tensions that turned deadly. In February 2025, Atlanta police announced the arrest of 7 individuals connected to the July 2024 shooting: Keontae Sanders, Richard Hollis, Reginald Thomas, DeCuthian Mobley, Marcus Crawford, Traden Crawford, and Ali Caldwell. According to investigators, one of the arrested individuals, Keontae Midnight Sanders, was already incarcerated at Hancock State Prison, but allegedly coordinated retaliatory actions using contraband cell phones and social media. An informant in the case reportedly told authorities that the attackers did not know they were targeting children. They believed they were going after members of the 4PF gang, specifically likely targeting someone with close ties to Lil Baby. In a bizarre twist, the investigation also uncovered that Sanders had allegedly planned to extort Lil Baby for $5 million upon his release from prison, suggesting that the rapper was both indirectly blamed for the violence and potentially a target himself. So is Lil Baby actually facing jail time? That's where things get murky. Despite the strong language from Major Woolfolk and the fact that Lil Baby's name appears in arrest warrants related to the case, as of April 2025, he has not been formally charged with any crimes related to these shootings. The arrest warrants mentioning him appear to be establishing connections and context rather than listing specific charges against him personally. The Breakfast Club, a popular radio show, discussed this confusing situation extensively. I think he shot it at a gas station, right? Shot it at a gas station. And I think that's what he was talking about. Yeah, there's clearly a lot missing from this story, because if I'm a rapper and I go shoot a music video somewhere and then a bunch of gang members are upset and they start shooting at each other and killing innocent people, how is that my fault or tied to me? Clearly, once again, no some heavy allegations to put on somebody just because they want to shoot a music video. This sentiment was echoed by many fans online who questioned how the rapper could be held legally responsible for filming a music video, which is not inherently a criminal act. Even if the location choice was provocative, the direct connection to criminal liability seems tenuous to many observers. For his part, Lil Baby hasn't remained silent on these accusations. Shortly after the police press conference, he took to Instagram to address the situation, writing, "Thanks for all the concerns. Please don't be misinformed by fake news. I'm overly good." This brief statement seemed designed to reassure fans that he wasn't facing imminent arrest, despite the circulating rumors, Lil Baby's legal history and current situation. Now, to understand the full context of this situation and assess the likelihood of Lil Baby facing incarceration, we need to examine his previous history with the law, his current legal standing, and what his defense team is saying about these latest accusations. Before he was a chart-topping rapper, Dominique Jones, now known as Lil Baby, had multiple encounters with the criminal justice system. In fact, his music career actually began following a period of incarceration. According to reports, Lil Baby served approximately 2 to 3 years in prison around 2014 to 2016 for drug and weapon charges. This experience proved to be transformative, as it was during this time that he began focusing on music, setting the foundation for his future career. In a revealing 2020 interview with NPR, Lil Baby reflected on his prison experience, confirming that he'd been incarcerated roughly 4 years prior to that conversation, which aligns with a 2016 release date. Shortly after regaining his freedom, he released his debut mixtape, Perfect Timing, in 2017, marking the official start of his rise in the hip-hop industry. Lil Baby's legal troubles didn't end with his prison release, however. In February 2019, he was arrested in Atlanta for reckless driving, eluding police, and failure to signal. After being detained, he was released on bond and expressed frustration with law enforcement on social media. While this incident didn't result in significant penalties, it demonstrated an ongoing pattern of legal complications. Then in July 2021, Lil Baby faced international legal issues when he was detained in France during Paris Fashion Week for allegedly transporting drugs. He was cited for possession of cannabis, paid a fine, and was subsequently released. The incident made headlines, but ultimately had minimal long-term impact on his career or legal standing. More recently, and perhaps most significantly, in August 2024, Lil Baby was arrested in Las Vegas for carrying a concealed weapon without a permit, which is classified as a felony in Nevada. This arrest occurred on August 26, 2024, at approximately 5 a.m. on the Las Vegas Strip. He was released after posting a $5,000 bond and was assigned a court date of October 1st, 2024. An interesting detail about this Las Vegas case is that Lil Baby's attorneys, Drew Findling and David Chesnoff, stated that he possessed a valid Georgia concealed carry permit, which Nevada does not recognize. This adds a layer of complexity to the case, as it suggests that Lil Baby may have believed he was legally carrying the weapon based on his Georgia permit. As of April 2025, there are no clear updates on the resolution of this Las Vegas case, leaving uncertainty about whether charges were dropped or pursued further. Now let's return to the current allegations linking Lil Baby to the Atlanta gang violence. It's important to emphasize that despite the strong language used by police officials and Lil Baby's name appearing in arrest warrants, he has not been formally charged with any crimes in relation to these shootings as of April 2025. Lil Baby's legal team has mounted a vigorous defense against these allegations. His attorneys, Drew Findling and Marissa Goldberg, released a statement to Forbes and TMZ, calling the police's reference to Lil Baby complete and total nonsense. They specifically challenged the implication that their client shouldn't film in certain areas of his hometown. To say that he couldn't shoot a music video in his hometown, a place that he loves and has continued to uplift is disgraceful. Even more, the location for a major music video shoot is a decision made by a professional team and is not a decision made by any individual. This statement makes several key arguments in Lil Baby's defense. First, it challenges the notion that filming a music video in a particular neighborhood could somehow make someone legally culpable for subsequent violence. Second, it points out that location decisions for major music videos are typically made by production teams rather than the artist alone, potentially diffusing responsibility. And third, it emphasizes Lil Baby's connection to and investment in Atlanta, positioning him as someone committed to uplifting his community rather than endangering it. The lawyers also noted that Lil Baby was devastated by the situation, pointing out that the young victims came from his own neighborhood. This sentiment attempts to counter the narrative that Lil Baby was callously disregarding community safety, instead portraying him as someone personally affected by the tragedy. Lil Baby's background of anti-gang messaging and community involvement has been used by his supporters to refute these gang-related accusations. While his 4PF, 4 Pockets Full label, has been characterized by police as a gang, it was primarily known in the music industry as his record imprint, which signed artists like 42 Dugg and Relo Rodriguez. Interestingly, in December 2024, Lil Baby announced that 4PF was transitioning to Glass Window Entertainment, potentially in response to growing legal scrutiny. La Rosa from The Breakfast Club offered additional context on the situation. So yesterday we talked about Lil Baby. You guys had a lot of questions in the room that I couldn't answer at the time because of what was given via the police press conference. So Fox 5 Atlanta has actually retrieved the arrest warrant. So remember, I told you guys that yesterday in that press conference when they called out the rapper who they say they're gonna make sure, has these consequences because of the part that this person played and what they're now calling this game, war, that resulted in multiple deaths. And then there was this arrest warrant that had Dominique Jones's name and in Dominique Jones's Lil Baby. So that linked him to this conversation. So Fox 5 Atlanta went and retrieved the arrest warrant themselves, and they are now saying that after seeing this arrest warrant, they're able to specifically point to the other gang yesterday in that press conference. The police only named one gang OMF, Only My Family. But according to this arrest warrant for PF, which is 4 Pockets Full, which we know at one time was Baby's label, it was a crew that he was running around with until he changed the name of the label back in 2024. It's a Glass Window Entertainment. It's also being named as the opposing gang in this rivalry that the police are alleging is going down. This excerpt provides crucial context about the alleged gang rivalry between 4PF and OMF and how Lil Baby's former label has been characterized as a gang by law enforcement. The fact that he rebranded the label in 2024 could potentially be interpreted in different ways, either as an attempt to distance himself from gang associations or simply as a business decision unrelated to legal concerns. Fan reactions to these allegations have been predominantly supportive of Lil Baby, with many questioning the fairness of holding him responsible for others' violent actions. On social media platform X, formerly Twitter, users expressed skepticism about the police narrative, with comments like, "So since y'all can't control y'all city, it's Lil Baby fault," and "Arrest him for what? Why aren't they finding the shooter?" Some fans have speculated that authorities might be building a RICO, Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act case against Lil Baby and his associates. This speculation isn't entirely unfounded given Atlanta's history of using RICO laws against rappers and their affiliates, most notably in the ongoing YSL case involving Young Thug. However, no formal RICO charges have been announced against Lil Baby or 4PF as of April 2025. Other supporters have suggested that Lil Baby might have grounds for a defamation lawsuit against law enforcement for publicly linking him to these deaths without filing formal charges. While such a lawsuit would face significant challenges, it reflects the strong sentiment among fans that the rapper is being unfairly scapegoated. A minority of commenters have supported holding Lil Baby accountable, with one stating, "Lock him up please, he's a shitter person than a musician." This demonstrates that while the majority sentiment appears to be in his favor, public opinion is not unanimously supportive. The allegations against Lil Baby raise complex questions about celebrity responsibility, gang violence, and the legal threshold for criminal liability. Can an artist be held legally responsible for tension sparked by a music video location? Does Lil Baby's past affiliation with 4PF make him culpable for actions potentially taken in the group's name? And what evidence would prosecutors need to actually bring charges against him? Legal challenges, comparable cases, and future implications. The most important thing to understand is that as of April 2025, no formal charges have been filed against Lil Baby related to the Atlanta shootings. His name appears in arrest warrants, but primarily in a contextual capacity rather than as someone directly accused of a specific crime. For prosecutors to bring charges against Lil Baby, they would need to establish a clear legal theory of culpability. Based on the public statements from law enforcement, they seem to be suggesting that by filming a music video in rival gang territory, Lil Baby recklessly or knowingly set in motion a chain of events that led to violence. However, establishing criminal liability based on this premise would be extremely challenging for several reasons. First, filming a music video, even in a disputed territory, is not inherently illegal. As Charlemagne Tha God pointed out in a Breakfast Club discussion, right, it's not against the law. Like you see people shoot videos at funeral places and things like that, like it's foul. It's wrong, but is it against the law? No, I don't know. This sentiment highlights a crucial legal obstacle, establishing that a lawful activity, filming a video, could make someone criminally responsible for subsequent violence committed by others, would require proving a level of intent or foreseeability that would be difficult to demonstrate beyond a reasonable doubt. Second, the time gap between the May 2024 video shoot and the July 2024 shootings further complicates establishing direct causation. The more time that passes between an alleged provocative act and resultant violence, the harder it becomes to prove that the initial act was the proximate cause of the harm. Third, as Lil Baby's attorneys have emphasized, decisions about music video locations are typically made by production teams rather than the artist alone. This diffusion of responsibility creates additional challenges in pinpointing criminal liability. However, there is one potential legal approach that might be more viable: a RICO case. RICO laws were designed to target organized criminal enterprises and allow prosecutors to hold leadership figures responsible for crimes committed by organization members, even if the leaders didn't directly participate in those specific acts. Atlanta has a history of using RICO statutes against rappers and their associates, most notably in the ongoing case against Young Thug and YSL. If authorities consider 4PF a criminal organization rather than just a record label, they might attempt to build a RICO case that encompasses multiple alleged criminal acts, potentially including the violence stemming from the video shoot. But even this approach would face significant hurdles. Prosecutors would need to prove that 4PF primarily exists as a criminal enterprise rather than a legitimate business, that Lil Baby maintains a leadership role within it, and that there's a pattern of criminal activity directly connected to the organization. Notably, Lil Baby rebranded 4PF to Glass Window Entertainment in December 2024, which could complicate efforts to establish ongoing criminal enterprise. It's also worth noting that Fox 5 Atlanta reported on a particularly unusual detail uncovered in the investigation. One of the arrested individuals, Keontae Sanders, allegedly planned to extort Lil Baby for $5 million upon his release from prison. This suggests that Lil Baby was viewed as a potential target as well as an alleged instigator, further muddying the waters around his role in the conflict. To better understand the potential legal outcomes for Lil Baby, it's instructive to look at comparable cases involving other high-profile rappers who have faced allegations connecting them to gang violence. The most relevant parallel might be the ongoing YSL RICO case against Young Thug and his associates. Beginning in 2022, Young Thug, Jeffrey Williams, was indicted along with multiple co-defendants on RICO charges, with prosecutors alleging that his Young Slime Life record label was actually a criminal street gang responsible for numerous violent crimes. Young Thug has remained in jail awaiting trial for over 2 years, demonstrating the serious potential consequences of such charges. However, there are significant differences between Young Thug's case and Lil Baby's situation. The YSL indictment included specific allegations that Young Thug had directly ordered hits and was personally involved in criminal conspiracies. The current public information about Lil Baby suggests authorities view his role as more indirect, provocative perhaps, but not directly ordering or participating in violence. Another instructive example is Bobby Shmurda, who was arrested in 2014 on conspiracy and weapons charges related to his alleged leadership of the GS9 gang. Shmurda ultimately accepted a plea deal and served 7 years in prison before being released in 2021. His case demonstrates how lyrics and music videos can be used as evidence in gang-related prosecutions, though recent rap music on trial legislation in some states has begun to limit this practice. Turning to Lil Baby's future prospects, both legal and professional, several scenarios seem possible based on the current information. The first and perhaps most likely scenario is that no charges are filed against Lil Baby personally. In this case, the 7 individuals already arrested would face prosecution for the shooting, while Lil Baby might be referenced as a contextual figure in the conflict, but not as a defendant. This outcome would allow him him to continue his career largely unimpeded, though the association with gang violence could potentially damage his reputation and business relationships. A second scenario is that Lil Baby faces limited charges related to the conflict, such as criminal association or obstruction, rather than direct charges for the shootings. Even in this case, given his resources and high-profile legal team, he might be able to negotiate a plea deal that avoids significant jail time. The third and most severe scenario would be inclusion in a broader RICO indictment targeting 4PF as a criminal organization. This would represent the greatest legal danger to Lil Baby and could potentially result in substantial prison time if he were convicted. However, based on the current public information, this scenario appears less likely than the others, particularly given the apparent focus on the 7 individuals already arrested for direct involvement in the shooting. Regardless of the legal outcome, these allegations could significantly impact Lil Baby's career trajectory. His recent rebranding of 4PF to Glass Window Entertainment suggests an awareness of the potential business implications of gang associations. Corporate partners, concert promoters, and other industry stakeholders may become more hesitant to work with artists perceived as connected to violent incidents, particularly those involving children. At the same time, the tragic deaths of Layman Freeman and Jacody Davis cannot be overlooked. 2 13-year-old children lost their lives in this violence, with one barely having celebrated his birthday for half an hour before being killed. Whatever the legal outcomes, this human tragedy underscores the real-world consequences of gang conflicts and violence in urban communities. La Rosa from The Breakfast Club summarized the complicated nature of assigning blame in this situation. Well, thank you, all right. Well, that is just with the mess now. Next hour, Wendy Williams will be checking in, correct? Yes, she will got some good stuff with her too. All right, well, when we come back, we got front page news, and then Jim Jones being a building. His album, The Active Church Steps, comes out this Friday, so we're going to be kicking it with Jimmy in a little bit, so don't move us to Breakfast Club. If you want to follow up on more news like this one, click the video you see on your screen right now.